Okay, so we're proceeding into shiur number 3. We've started off with shiur number 1, in which we learned the principles that for this prohibition of requesting a malacha from a goy bichlal, b'devar devar, shlichut, all those aspects. That's shiur number 1. Shiur number 2, we presented the other prohibition of benefiting from the goy's malacha. And now we're going to continue into shiur number 3. We'll define how do we define benefit more clearly. But before we discuss that, we have to ask ourselves a simple question. If a guy comes into my house, sees the light is off, and turns the light on so that I can have a better Shabbos meal, right? Am I expected to now leave the house? Am I expected to leave and not benefit from that light? So l'chora, he did it for me. So you'd say, yeah. Okay, so where am I supposed to eat? I only have one living room. What am I supposed to do now? Like you point out, I never asked him to turn the light on. He just realized the light is off and I probably want to have a Shabbos meal, so he turned the light back on. Well, what am I expected to do in this situation? Okay, it's a bit of a conundrum. So, Rabbi Yonah, not to be confused with Rabbi Yonah, one of the Rishonim, Rabbi Yonah, who is an Amora in the Yerushalmi, in the second source on the first page over there, in the Yerushalmi, in the middle of the line, Amar Rabbi Yonah, Sham Yehi, Shen L'Tachot Al Adam L'Tzet Mibeito. The Gemara there is discussing, it's an interesting Yerushalmi, I'm not going to go deeply into it right now, but the Yerushalmi there seems to be discussing the Machloket Rambam and Rashba, and it's quite rare that the Yerushalmi discusses Machloket Rambam and Rashba, obviously it's a bit of an anachronism. The Yerushalmi is discussing discussion that it seems to be, according to, as we know, Yerushalmi is something Rishonim feel pretty free to play with. And even if the Yerushalmi seems to be discussing a certain specific issue, Rishonim can always explain that actually meant something slightly different. The Yerushalmi seems to be discussing the question of what happens if a guy does something for his own and one more Jew's benefit. And they bring a raya from a certain situation they had, and Rabbi Yonah says, look, if the guy turns on the light in your house for himself and for you, aware of your need, but also for himself, we don't require the person to leave his house. Shanyehi, that case is not. We can't extrapolate from the case that the Yerushalmi brought previously. And that's a pretty astonishing thing, because l'chora that would mean that a goy could come into the house and do whatever the Jew needs, and then we say, Tov, I can't go to the Beit Midrash and have the guy turn lights on for me. I can't go and have fun, whatever, wherever the guy is. But if he does it in my home, it's all good, right? I can always gain that benefit because I'm not expected to leave, am I? I mean, I can get away with a lot under that principle, right? The Chora, so on the one hand, Rabbi Yonah solves my first question, which was, am I going to have to now eat in the street in the cold? The storm we had last night. On Shabbos because the guy turned the light on? The answer is no. But how far would this go? L'chora, this would mean that I could do whatever I want, right? That the guy could turn the lights on, turn the heat on, whatever I need, and I'm not expected to leave. So it's all right. I can get away with anything based on that idea.
But he didn't ask the guy to do it. Now he did it himself.
Right. So Philip is pointing out an important point, which is I didn't request this from the guy. Had I requested it from the guy, would it didn't change? Would the halacha change?
Maybe.
Would we still say you're not expected to leave your home? Yeah.
So someone who lives in a common domicile with a number of roommates,
Okay.
one of whom isn't Jewish,
Okay.
and the non-Jew walks in and turns on the television because he wants to watch for a few moments basketball or football game. Okay,
Right.
and then doesn't turn it off. Leaves the room, does whatever he does. The Jews who are in the room, now it's not necessary for them It is their common domicile. Is it necessary for them to leave?
Saying they're not expected to leave their own home,
Right.
their own space.
So it does. So the level of the need of this is irrelevant to the idea of leaving or staying. In other words, it's not like dinner. It's not like a Shabbat dinner.
Right. That's a good point. In other words, Rabbi Yonah seems to be based on the idea that I'm not expected to take me at home. Right? This is my space. Why should I have to leave my space just because someone else did something else here? As you say, if you turn the football game on, so still I'm not expected to leave my space, right? L'chora, that's correct. But as we said, on the other hand, it seems that there should be a balancing power. So the Kolbo says like this. The Kolbo on page 2 says like this. So Kolbo Hashem Halam. שצריך אדם למחות לעבדו לשפחתו גוי אשר לא להדליק בשבילו את הנר. ואם הדליקו אסור ליהנות בו, I'm skipping a bit, מי הוא בירושלמי שאין מטרחין אותו לצאת מביתו, אם הדליק הגוי מדעתו בשביל ישראל, אם תרצה שפחה לרבות שהם בנר בליל שבת, לכל הישראל למחות בידה. So, it seems to me that the Kolbo is trying to understood the Yerushalmi was balancing two different powers here. On the one hand, you don't have to leave your home if the guy does something without asking you. On the other hand, if you're aware of his creating this benefit that you'll inadvertently end up benefiting from, you need to stop him. Now, where's this this chiyuv we have, this obligation the person has to tell the guy, stop, don't do that chilul Shabbat. B'chora, we don't have a chiyuv to stop goyim from doing chilul Shabbat, right? Adrabah, goyim have to be chilul Shabbat, right? Goyim aren't allowed to keep Shabbos. So, this obligation the Kolbo is referring to, of telling the guy to not mechalel Shabbat, where does it come from? It seems to me that it comes from the other side of the same coin, the flip side of that same idea. In other words, in a situation in which I'll inadvertently end up benefiting from his melacha, I have to stop him and say, I'll end up inadvertently benefiting from your melacha and I'm not allowed to. So please don't do that. Right? Don't turn the light on, don't turn the heat on, don't turn the air conditioning on, whatever it is, because I'm not allowed to benefit from that. Now, are we allowed to benefit from heat and air conditioning? We'll learn in issue number 5. Push that off. But we'll get back to that later. But you are the Yerushalmi, it seems, in the Kolbo, Yerushalmi is referring to a case in which not only did the guy do it, the Chor have to differentiate between a few different cases. One is a case in which I saw the guy was about to turn the light on, I said, don't do it, stop. Right? If I see him doing it, I'm expected to stop him from doing it. And if he does, I'm not expected to leave. Now what happens if I'm not home? And then I come home and I see all the lights on and I say, that's interesting, I don't remember turning the lights on. Right? I was just hitting myself. I'm stopping the whole Myra. If I couldn't concentrate, I was thinking, what am I going to do? I forgot to turn the lights on. Right? Now I come home and say, oh, Baruch Hashem, Siyata D'Shmaya, the lights are on. How'd that happen? But the smart guy realized that I need the lights on, you turn them all on. Right? In that case, I couldn't stop the guy from turning the light on. Right? But, so that'd be a middle ground case. The third case, obviously, if I hint to him, if I tell him to do it for me, then obviously that's what the Kolbo is referring to, when that he says that if you don't, you'd have to leave. So that's what I understand. The middle of the second line in the Kolbo, I understand that this is the second case, and the Jew wasn't there. He came home and the light was on. He says, I know how the light came on, the guy did it. I'm about to enjoy it. So he runs to the rabbi's house and says, what do I do? So the rabbi says, well, you have one of two options. You can join us. The rabbi's house is always open. But you don't have to leave your house, you can go home and eat there. Even though the light is on. Right? That's what the Kolbo says.
You sure he's talking about different cases and not just bringing two opinions about the same case?
saying it could be machloket in the Ram and the Raf,
Yeah.
Rabbeinu Meir and Ben Peretz. No?
Could be the halacha will make the distinction you made, but not sure if that's correct.
And how serious does the objection have to be?
So that's a
If,
good
in other words,
question.
I say to this person, you know, you don't have to do that for me. Is that an objection?
It's a good question.
If
It's a
you're
good
just trying
question.
to send it V, then I know.
Well, let's see how this bears into halacha, and then we'll go into and then we'll discuss that briefly. Because I was pondering the same thing. Right? I said no. Please continue. I mean, yeah, right. In the end, the guy knows that I'm only stopping him because, right? What happens if I have a guy who's a Talmid Chacham, right? Most guy used to be a Rosh Talmid Chachamim, right? In that sense. Right? The guy is aware that I'm saying no, but I mean, please continue, right? Because he knows I'm on that line, and he knows that I'm just not allowed to tell him.
Well, you know, now there's a whole debate about whether no means no.
I don't know if I rush to compare the two, but so these things were brought to halacha. We see in the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch writes, "Imro oseh melacha b'Shabbat, melachto b'Shabbat tzarich lomar shelo yaseh lo b'Shabbat." As I say, obviously the Shulchan Aruch isn't referring to a goy driving his car and have to come out and say Shabbos, right? Talking about a guy who's doing something that will ultimately benefit me and I'll inadvertently gain pleasure, gain the benefit from. The Rama says, "Miui masa goy b'veit Yisrael, and b'veit Yisrael midato, ein yisrael tzavatzeh avishim yanem min haner or min hamedura." The key word here obviously is midato, right? The guy did it of his own volition, without being requested. Then the Jew doesn't need to leave. But if the guy did it because the Jew hinted that he should, because the Jew requested it, right? The Rama qualifies the Yerushalmi's heter, Rabbi Yonah's heter, Rabbi Yonah, who says, you're not expected to leave your home. He qualifies this and says only if the guy did it of his own volition, the demet of his own volition. If the Jew prompted him, that would be a different story, the Chorah. Right? The Magen Avraham says, now the Magen Avraham says an interesting stipulation, hu adin she'en tzarich lahafoch panav, אלא אם כן שרוצה לעשות מידת חסידות, רק שאסור להשתמש לאורו. So, what does that mean? I don't need to leave the home, but I'm not allowed to use the light, right? Sorry?
Maybe not specifically use it, but kifin, like, yeah.
Right, so I wondered, here's what I
not allowed to
thought.
read, maybe, because...
Now to?
Read.
Right, so if I have enough light to just be managed to eat, but I wouldn't be able to read or whatever, to that light, right? Maybe we'd say you can't read because now you're getting a benefit that the guy really has added that was not there before. But I was able to eat before, now it's going to be more pleasurable, it'll be more convenient. But it's not really a new thing, so I'm not creating a benefit that wasn't there before at all, right? There's a benefit that was pretty much there, just now it's more convenient. Right? The Chorah that's the Magen Avraham is talking about. The Pri Megadim defines this like that. L'ishtamesh lo asur, the Pri Megadim is on the Magen Avraham, right? Eshel Avraham, the Pri Megadim is the Pri Megadim's book on the Magen Avraham. So he comments like this: L'ishtamesh lo asur, shegoy shedik v'dato b'shvil Yisrael asur l'kol, רק שהם מתלכים לצאת. Meaning, you don't have to leave, but you're not to benefit. Okay, so what do? You sit there with your eyes closed. L'chor does not really mean. Why? L'chor, you're not expected to sit there with your eyes closed. With your eyes shut means don't benefit, don't gain benefits that you would not have had in any way otherwise. Because if you were able to eat the Shabbos candles and he turned on the fluorescent lights, so you can still have the Seudah there. But start reading, that's a different story. Chorah. The Shemash Rabbi Chata summarizes this right in 3 different units, 3 different situations. The first is if the Jew requested the melacha to be done, so then you even have to leave your home to avoid benefiting from the melacha. And once again, since there is that, since we do expect the Jew to make the goy refrain from doing the melacha, to request the goy refrain from doing the melacha. So if the Jew request, and then we say, "Toh, but you don't expect you to leave your home." So the stipulation with not having to leave your home is only if you didn't request it actively, if you didn't prompt him. Now what is prompting? Right. The chorah mizah is the same thing, right?
If somebody else other Jew asked him to do it, you have to leave him.
That's an interesting question, right? Because we know, generally speaking, one person can't ask for someone else's things, right? So in this case, if I tell him, "Hey, turn his lights on," right? So l'chora would be hard to say that he wouldn't be allowed to use it. L'chora, right? L'chora would fall under that rule of that you don't create shiurim on things that aren't yours. L'chora. It's an interesting question. It's a good way of getting at people. If you ever want to get good to come on someone's. Now, the second case is if he sees that the goy is about to do it for his sake, for the Jew's sake, then he has to tell him to refrain from doing so. Now, what happens if he doesn't stop him in time, or if he doesn't really go out of his way to stop him? Then in that case, Rav says that middle ground, where on the one hand you were expected to stop him from adding light. On the other hand, you weren't exactly not beseder by not stopping him. You weren't active in prompting him. You were just passive. In that case, you're not expected to leave your home, but you're also not allowed to gain any new benefits that weren't there to begin with. So he really writes what I said before. If you couldn't eat properly, right? If you couldn't eat leisurely before that, if you couldn't read to the light that existed before that, so you won't be allowed to use those to eat or read to the new light, because you should have stopped the goy from doing it. But on the other hand, you don't have to leave your home. That's the Magen Avram's case, right? That's how the Shemarash Ba'Kei understand. That's the Magen Avram's case. Magen Avram who says you're not the Magen Avram, you're Megadim, who say that you're not allowed to gain any new benefits, but you're not expected to leave your home. That middle ground, that's in the cases in which you should have requested him to stop and you didn't. Now, if you actually did, you told him no, don't. Then the goy is considered having done it of his own volition, the gamrei, against my will. L'chora, this would go back to the reason behind the prohibition, right? We learned in the last few shiurim, I mentioned this a few times, that the prohibition, we said that you're not allowed to gain benefit from the goy's melacha, is because we're concerned that you'll use the goy as you'll be tempted to use the goy as your mother. You need someone to do the melacha for you, so you'll request it from him. If you get used to the goy doing things for you, so you'll also request it from him. But if you know that every time the goy's about to do something, you have to stop him, so then you'll say, "Oh, remember last time you turned the light on? Maybe you want to do that again." And then we'll go turn it on and say, "Wait, hold on! I forgot. I need to tell him to stop." Right? So if I actually tell him to stop, and he does anyway, we're not concerned that next time you are going to request it from him, because the last time you actually requested him to stop, to refrain from turning the light on. Right? So if you prompted him, you'd actually have to leave your home. If you didn't do anything about it, so then we're concerned that if we'll allow you to benefit from it, next time you'll ask him actively. But if you actively told him to refrain from doing the melacha, then we don't expect. Then you could just gain the benefit. Then this goes back to your question, right? How much of the mecha needs to be mecha, right? When I say you have to tell him, I have to stop him from doing it, l'chora, the answer is that it has to be real. it has to fit into, to my understanding, it needs to fit into that category. A kind of, I need to tell him to refrain in such a way that would remind me that I'm not allowed to request it from him or prompt him to do it. That should be the definition. Now I don't know exactly what that is, but it needs to fit that category. Otherwise the svar here doesn't make sense, right? To my understanding, the only reason I'm allowed to, not only, we have to, I just want to point out because I said two different svarot here, right? We started from Rabbi Yonah, who said you're not expected to leave your home because the guy did something for you, right? Now, was the guy prompted to do the melacha for you? Well, if he was, so you are expected to leave your home. So, Mimela, what are we talking about? Where I didn't prompt him. Now, I didn't prompt him, but I also didn't stop him from doing so, right? Now, so in that case, I'm expected to leave my home, but I'm not to gain the benefit from it either. I can't read to that light, for example. Then you said another svara. The next svara was, since the whole concern is that I'm going to request the melacha next time, that's what we're concerned about. Mimela, if I'm actively trying to stop him from doing the melacha, I'm not concerned that I'll be in the mindset that I'm allowed to request the melacha from him, and then I'm also, in that case, I'd also actively be allowed, in that case, I'd also be allowed to actively enjoy the melacha, in the case in which I've tried stopping him. Now, so then we ask, what do I mean by trying to stop him? And the answer has to be the kind that would remind me that I'm not allowed to request the melacha from him. Right? But these are two separate svarot, right? One svara is that I'm not expected to leave my home. The other svara is I'm really not going to request the melacha from him because last time I had to stop him from doing the melacha. Right? That's how we end up with these three different levels. The one where I wouldn't expect to leave my home, the one where I'm not expected to leave my home but I can gain the benefit, and the third in which I'm also allowed to gain the benefit.